Alright, so it's time for already the second video. Before I start, I must say, the first time I was a bit nervous and I didn't really know how to do it, and it felt like a little bit of an uphill assignment. But now the second time it's really fun, and I enjoy actually trying to communicate through a video what I've learned so far. So I hope that you enjoy it as well. So now let's start with what is mining and how does it work, and how do the proof of work and proof of stake mechanics play into how mining acts and behaves. So first of all, the mining itself. What is mining? Well, mining is basically done. You set up your computer system, or you buy special hardware that is especially really good at mining, and you tell your software to start mining for blocks in a blockchain network. So we already know the blockchains, and that the blockchain is basically made out of blocks that follow each other and are linked through hashes. And the miners, they search for the next block in the system, in the network, and they do that by basically looking for what is called the nonce. And the nonce is a number that is generated by the network, a random number, which is a really big number, and the miner has to find it. And it does that by just trying every number it can think of. So it starts at 1, and then it tries number 2, and then 3, and then 4 and 5, and so forth. And these numbers, they are really, really big. They can be like 18 digits long. So it takes computers or systems really long to find the nonce, to find the new next block in the system. Depending on the type of network, that determines how difficult or how long it takes for miners to find the next block. Let's say for Bitcoin, it takes around 10 minutes to find the new block in the system, because that's what the developers of the Bitcoin network wanted, to have a difficulty rate so that it would take 10 minutes, so that in those 10 minutes all those transactions can happen. And after the 10 minutes, well, the block is found, and then when the block is found, a miner can say to the network, guys, look, I just found the next block, and they can claim exclusive right to all the profits that are on the block, all the transaction fee profits that are on that block. So that is basically what a miner does. It looks for the next block in the system, and it does that by finding the nonce, and by finding the next block, they validate the transactions within the system. Now, when you look at different mechanics that are used to incentivize miners, there are two very big ones. You have the proof of work mechanism, and you have the proof of stake mechanism. The proof of work mechanism is the one that Satoshi Nakamoto came up with when he first invented Bitcoin, and it basically was a way to no longer need a third party to authenticate transactions, because the miners. Now, the main difference, or one of the most important differences between a proof of work mechanism and the proof of stake mechanism, is the potential for a reward. Within the proof of work mechanism, that is exponential. So the more, wait, let me check, I actually forgot. The more, of course, I should have known. The more you invest in those mining rigs, in those mining systems, the bigger the potential is for making a profit within the proof of work mechanism. For the proof of stake mechanism, this is actually linear. So it doesn't matter uh, uh, how much you invest, because depending on how much you invested, that will determine your potential for a reward. And well, because that is linear, it is more equal for everyday people to try and mine and make a profit of their own, because it's really hard to fight against a big corporation that can just fill a server room full with these rigs and just make money off of that. It's, as a single person, it's impossible to compete. But coming back to proof of work, that is what Satoshi Nakamoto used to remove the need for a trusted third party. And basically that's for the proof of work. It is a really good mechanism. It was a really useful solution to a problem, but it's of course not perfect. It needs a lot of electricity, which costs a lot of money. So therefore, every dollar you make on the network doesn't mean that that's $1 profit, because you will have, like, for say 80 euro cents electricity cost. So you only have a 20 cents profit, which, and it's also limited to the amount of transactions it can process. I believe that currently on the Bitcoin network, it is possible to only process around 7 transactions per second, which is not nearly enough for what the system needs. It would be better if it was able to solve a couple thousand transactions, or not solve, but to process a couple thousand transactions per second. But that's one of the downsides of the proof of work mechanism. Now for the proof of stake, it is basically the same, but what I said, it is linear, so it's actually not the same. A funny thing to know about the proof of stake is that the first blockchain project that used it was in 2012 by the project called Peercoin. Just something funny to know. And with the proof of stake, it's a more fair and equal mining system because it is linear. So it doesn't matter how much you invest, the chance of getting the reward will be the same for everyone. It's also a little bit more scalable, very much more scalable actually, because with the proof of stake system, you can actually get a couple thousand transactions per second, which is way more than 7, of course, and perhaps more desirable for a worldwide system. And well, it's less reliant on electricity, because the chance of you mining the block is more equal to others. It is not interesting or less interesting to just fill a server room or fill a room full with your mining rigs, because your chance of actually mining is somewhat the same as someone who's using only one computer. That's the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. And yeah, I think that's it.